Hello, my name is Alfredo COF, and today I'm going to be talking about boxing. My main claim today is that multiple sanctioning bodies in boxing are damaging the sport. The reason why I feel like this issue is relevant is because many people claim that boxing is a dying sport or UFC is going to replace boxing, and I feel like this is why I'm making my argument. What a sanctioning body is the governing body of a sport, like football is NFL and basketball is ESPN, so they have one official sanctioning body, but boxing has multiple. And the main four sanctioning bodies are WBC, the WBO, IBF, and the WBA sanctioning bodies. And because of these, there are 4 titles in each weight division, and there are 17 weight divisions. And there are also multiple belts that are in boxing. So there's 100 belts out there in the boxing world. And that brings me to my my first claim, which is multiple champions make fighters and bouts less credible. Many commentators in boxing have stated that, like Max Kellerman, have stated that they don't recognize champions because usually if champions are not fighting the best fighters, they should fight instead of fighting fighters who are lesser ranks. And they feel that in order to be a true champion, it doesn't matter if you have a belt, but you should be fighting the best opponents out there. To support this claim, there is a website called fightnews.com, and it shows the world boxing rankings, and it shows how each sanctioning body has different rankings. So for WBC, there's a different #1 contender, and for the WBA, there's another different #1 contender, and it goes on and on. So there really isn't a true ranking system in boxing. That brings me to the conflict that there is no lineal champ or disputed champ, which is pretty much what a lineal champion is, that they're the main champion, the best fighter. It doesn't matter if they have 4 or just 1 belt, they're recognized as the best fighter because they fight the best. And currently there are a few lineal champions because Dan COF states that, Dan COF, a boxing analyst, states that sanctioning bodies will never order their champion to fight another organization's champion. So this means that there are hardly any unification bouts. A unification bout is a bout where 2 champions fight for each other's belts. And usually this can occur because both champions could agree to fight, but because both sanctioning bodies don't force them to fight each other, it usually doesn't occur. And when it does occur, there's instances like in 2005 where Jermaine Taylor lost his IBF middleweight title for making a rematch against Bernard Hopkins. In that first fight, when he fought Bernard Hopkins, he won all 4 major titles for the middleweight division, and he lost the IBF because there was a different #1 contender, and they wanted him to fight him, but he did not because he wanted to fight Bernard Hopkins again because it was a close fight, and he wanted to become the lineal champion. But because they took away his IBF title, there was no true lineal champion after the fight. Which brings me to my next claim, my second claim, that without undisputed champions in boxing, the sport suffers. Because there are no lineal champions, many fans don't understand who really is the best out there, which causes pay-per-view buys for boxing to decrease and viewing for fights to decrease. There are multiple rankings like Ring Magazine, ESPN, and Fight Game, and there's more rankings, which causes conflict in fans that don't understand who really is the true champion or the true #1 contender. For example, Canelo is considered the lineal champion lineal middleweight champion by Ring Magazine, and usually Ring Magazine is recognized as the main ranking system. Even though Canelo is considered a lineal champion, he has no middleweight championship. He has one junior middleweight championship and lost his middleweight championship because he refused to fight Gennady Golovkin, and yeah, he's still recognized as middleweight champion, which shows that there is conflict in the rankings. I believe that pay-per-view views would go up if there was only one champion per weight division instead of having multiple sanctioning bodies. For instance, UFC has one champion per weight division, and currently they're doing very well because in the last 7 pay-per-views, they've gotten over 1 million buys. And the last time boxing has got over 1 million buys, it was 2 years ago when Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, which had 4 million pay-per-view buys and weighed $600 million. And the reason why I believe that many believe that this fight did so well is because everyone understood that these two were the best fighters out there. They were the best in the welterweight division, and currently there are hardly any. It's disputable who is the best out there, which is why the pay-per-view buys are decreasing in boxing. So in conclusion, my main claim is that multiple sanctioning bodies in boxing are damaging the sport. And to support this is multiple champions make fighters and bouts less credible, and without undisputed champions, boxing entertainment suffers. And that's it.
All right, you identified your proposition pretty clearly. I thought that you did a good job providing some context at the beginning of the speech so we know what's going on, and your description of the different sanctioning bodies is okay, and the complexity of 4 sanctioning bodies and 17 divisions suggests that there is in fact a lot of potential for the kinds of complications you're talking about. The notion though that those complications either create disinterest in boxing or drive down viewership or as a consequence have a harmful impact on boxing, I think needs to be proven a little bit more. Your explanation of why you see these being relevant, I thought, was actually very good. The proof on it is a little bit less so. You've got a couple of good not hypothetical examples, you've got a couple of good actual examples that you point to. There are a couple of places where there is some confusion in the examples you're presenting, because there was one situation where you mentioned that there was a fighter who had 4 titles, lost one of the titles because he wouldn't fight, and then there was another fighter who was seen as a contender, lost the championship. Well, if they lose the championship, why are they seen as a contender? It got a little bit confusing with some of the examples that you're talking about. The source citations are a little inconsistent. I think, for instance, it would have been helpful when you were talking about the rankings to give some of the examples from the different bodies, Ring Magazine, ESPN, and the others, on what the rankings were so we could see what those differences are, and then it would be a little bit clearer to understand, for example, what are the rules of the sanctioning bodies. They require you to fight the #1 contender, and obviously if there's a difference in who is the #1 contender between the sanctioning bodies, that's the thing that creates the problem. There was a little bit of a wrinkle thrown in because of the pay-per-view stuff and who's paying for putting on these matches. I think there could be a little bit of explanation on that. Is it necessary for there to be a championship fight for the fight to be seen as being valuable by the public? I think that that's another presupposition that needs to be developed a little bit more. I like the idea of the argument. I think it's an interesting subject. I thought you gave a pretty good explanation of the position that you're taking, and you had some good examples to illustrate those points. Probably could clarify the argument in a couple of places and deliver it a little bit more clearly once in a while, because I think you have a tendency to rush some of the examples and you're not always enunciating enunciating as clearly as you could, because I think the examples that you provided are actually probably pretty good, but they're not always as clear, primarily because of presentation issues. Okay, thank you.